Hello and welcome to In Depth. I'm Teena Jha. The journey of Facebook has been a story of unprecedented growth and single-minded domination of the social media space across the globe. Today, Facebook has over 2 billion social media users. It also owns WhatsApp, Messenger and Instagram, each used by over 1 billion people. Now, this combined might is what is worrying experts, rights groups, governments as well as industry watchers. In terms of revenues and influence, Facebook Inc. founder Mark Zuckerberg commands power that has rarely ever been seen before. It has led Facebook co-founder and Zuckerberg's former roommate Chris Hughes to call for a breakup of the social media network. Hughes joined US lawmakers in urging antitrust action to break up big tech companies as well as federal privacy regulation. The call comes against the backdrop of greater scrutiny of Facebook from regulators around the world over its data sharing practices, hate speech and also misinformation on its networks. Today's In Depth takes a look at the argument of Hughes, the controversies that have compromised Facebook's reputation in recent times, the case for regulation and Facebook's own efforts and often inadequate measures to limit the damage that the company has caused. In an explosive opinion piece published in the New York Times on Thursday, Chris Hughes, a Facebook co-founder and Mark Zuckerberg's former Harvard roommate, called for the United States government to break up the social media company. In a lengthy opinion piece, Hughes calls the company's influence staggering as well as dangerous. Hughes is the latest in a series of prominent entrepreneurs as well as tech executives to call for stricter regulation of Facebook and other online platforms. More details in this report.
One of the co-founders of Facebook, Chris Hughes, has made a landmark call to break up the social media behemoth Facebook. In an opinion piece in the New York Times, Hughes, who left the company in 2007, argues that Facebook has fostered bad impulses among its users, prevented other companies from competing, and gained unilateral control over speech worldwide. In an editorial published in the New York Times, Hughes is primarily calling on US regulators to split up Facebook, WhatsApp and Instagram, warning that the company's head Mark Zuckerberg had become far too powerful. Hughes pointed to Zuckerberg's staggering influence at the company, which controls 3 major platforms: Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp. He said Zuckerberg controls about 60% of voting shares for Facebook's board, giving Zuckerberg immense control over algorithms, privacy settings and even which messages get delivered. In the opinion piece, he called Zuckerberg's power unprecedented and un-American and said his co-founders' focus on growth led him to sacrifice security and civility for clicks. Along with Zuckerberg, Hughes founded the online network in their dorm room while both were students at Harvard University in 2004.
They have woken up to the power of Facebook, and with this power comes great responsibility. And with the recent events in the USA and the upcoming elections, everybody is extremely scared about a private company having such a strong hold on elections. So I don't think it is a private rivalry between two friends who started this great platform in 2004. I think it is more of maturity, and the issue has come because of the upcoming elections in the US.
Hughes has accused Facebook of acquiring or copying all of its competitors to achieve dominance in the social media field, meaning that investors were reluctant to back any rivals because they know they can't compete for long. Hughes said even after the breakup, Facebook would be a hugely profitable business with billions to invest in new technologies, and a more competitive market would only encourage those investments. The company has been rocked by a series of scandals recently, including allowing user data to be harvested by research companies and its slow response to Russia using Facebook as a means to spread disinformation during the 2016 US election campaign. The company is reportedly expecting to face a fine of $5 billion US. The total number of users across Facebook's platform far exceeds the number on any rival platform. After buying its main competitor's Instagram, where people can publish photos, and WhatsApp, a securing messaging service, Facebook has now 2.7 billion monthly users across its platforms and made a first quarter profit of $2.43 billion US this year. WhatsApp alone has 1.6 billion monthly users across its platforms, and Instagram has 1.3 billion monthly users across its platforms.
No, it is nothing to do with the rivalry between the two partners. The basic issue is that power without responsibility. Now, these aspects are being raised by many government and many other people, not only in USA but Europe, and slightly it is being raised in India also. We have seen that parliamentary committee, Indian parliamentary committee, which is the supreme body, they call the Facebook, but still Mark Zuckerberg or other top persons failed to come to the Indian authorities. Now, the US, where the main company is located, this issue has again been raised, and I think that it will be resolved so that it can impact and it can be reorganized for the betterment of international internet community as well as for India.
Hughes is not alone in asking for breakup of Facebook. Some lawmakers in US have called for federal privacy regulation and antitrust action to break up big tech companies. Democratic presidential candidate Senator Elizabeth Warren in March vowed to break up Facebook, Amazon.com Inc. and Alphabet Inc.'s Google if elected US president to promote competition in the tech sector. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The social media giant Facebook and its founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg has been regularly receiving flack for multiple instances of security breach and unauthorized data access, all of which began in the year 2018. Consumers are now losing trust on the platform across markets.
In March 2018, Facebook found itself at the center of the world's largest data leak scandal. The company was accused of sharing private data of millions of users with Cambridge Analytica, a London-based elections consultancy for political purposes. All this while, unsuspecting users continued to share their personal information on Facebook. On March 17, 2018, The Guardian and the New York Times lifted the lid off the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal. It was revealed that Cambridge Analytica had harvested the personal data of millions of people's Facebook profiles. The data was allegedly used for political campaigns supported by Cambridge Analytica, including the 2016 US presidential election and the Brexit vote. Cambridge Analytica also reportedly used the data for US Senator Ted Cruz's campaign in December 2015.
Facebook companies like the Facebook, they know much better that what are the tendencies, what are the orientation, how people are going to vote, and they can influence the voting pattern, as we have seen the Cambridge Analytica disclosures. Facebook has interfered with the US elections also. Now, everything depends on one person, and the biggest issue is that Facebook is earning lot of revenue from their operations. They don't pay taxes in India in their major revenue. They have created Indian company which is paying taxes on the small revenue. The major portion goes to the Ireland like tax haven companies.
The information revealed by none other than ex-Cambridge Analytica employee Christopher Wiley showed how the users were hoodwinked in the name of a benign survey. The revelation created a huge public outcry. Facebook later confirmed that it actually had data on up to 87 million users. 70.6 million of those people were from the United States. The breach allowed the voter profiling firm to develop techniques to help US President Donald Trump's campaign in 2016. The firm also accessed data of over 1 million British users trying to influence the Brexit vote. After the expose, the Federal Trade Commission opened an investigation into the violation of user privacy by Facebook. In April 2018, Mark Zuckerberg faced a joint session of the US Senate Commerce and Judiciary Committees to respond to some hard questions on the data breach. Zuckerberg blamed Alexander Kogan, who sold the data to Cambridge Analytica, for violating Facebook's terms of service. On 2nd May 2018, Cambridge Analytica announced they were closing and starting insolvency proceedings. Its CEO, Alexander Nix, had already stepped down in the wake of the charges. In December 2018, Facebook reported a breach in its system due to a bug that it said may have exposed pictures of nearly 6.8 million users across the world for over 12 days between September 13th and 25th via third-party applications. Facebook said the issue was fixed, but the bug potentially gave developers access to other photos such as those shared on Marketplace or Facebook Stories. Further, it also gave access to photos that people uploaded to Facebook but did not post. In 2019, Facebook's data misuse hit headlines again in May. Reports said the company harvested the email contacts of 1.5 million users without their knowledge or consent when they opened their accounts. The privacy breach came to light when a security researcher questioned why Facebook was asking for email passwords when new users signed up with the platform. With inputs from Vipul Agrawal, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Time for a short break on the program. On the other side, we'll talk about Facebook's role in disseminating fake news. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching In Depth. Facebook has been continuously under the scanner for its alleged role in disseminating fake news and also unknowingly generating the terror content. As a vast social media networking site, a lot is at risk, from internal security to international upheavals.
Ever since the revelations of Facebook use and abuse stemming from the 2016 US presidential elections, the role of fake news in influencing voter behavior has come up for debate. Fake news is not only perceived as a threat to journalism, democracy, and freedom of speech, but also wields a security risk given the rise of falsehoods aimed at stoking the fire of extremism. Older users shared more fake news than younger ones, regardless of education, sex, race, income, or how many links they shared. Fake news is seen as a symptom of the decline of trust in mainstream media, the polarization of politics, and consequent echo chamber effect on social media. In all this, Facebook's role in disseminating fake content has become ever more complex.
Well, fake news is the biggest epidemic of the information age, and we have also done a report about it. We are also witnessing it in the Indian elections right now, that during the Lok Sabha election, every day, every state has one or two prominent fake news that come up, which are solved by the night. Now, this is affecting the basic fragment of democracy, which is informed choice. When we go to vote, who are we voting for? Why are we voting for them? And fake news is changing that. So it is one of the biggest problems. Facebook is trying to solve it, not succeeding well. In fact, no tech platform is actually able to solve it. What we need is, like Singapore has done, create a law about it, create a regulation about it.
Facebook has also been accused of auto-generating extremist content, including a jihadist video and a business page for Al-Qaeda. The material was uncovered by National Whistleblower Center that filed an official complaint with US regulators. Similar content for self-identified Nazis and white supremacist groups was also found online. The center monitored pages of 3,000 people who liked or connected to the organizations listed as terrorist groups by the US government. The study found that groups such as the Islamic State group and Al-Qaeda were openly active on the social network. In addition, it found that Facebook's own tools were automatically creating fresh content for the proscribed groups by producing celebrations and memories videos when pages racked up enough views or likes, or had been active for a certain number of months. The local business page for Al-Qaeda generated by Facebook's tools had 7,410 likes and gave the group valuable data it could use when recruiting people or seeking out supporters.
Yes, Facebook, misinformation, hate speech, paid news, all this is threat to the democratic process. Now, Facebook knows and they understand and they can control the fake news, but they don't want to control. Instead of controlling, they just want to give impression that internet is free, so we can't control. But they can control, like children below 13 years cannot join, but still they are being allowed. Rave parties are not allowed, but still groups are being created. So many illegal trades and businesses groups are not allowed, but still they are being, because Facebook, if WhatsApp or the Twitter or the Instagram, if they are having more number of users, more time who are spending in these platforms, then they will have more revenue.
Facebook has faced increased scrutiny for its role in online terror since a gunman live-streamed 17 minutes of a New Zealand mosque shooting on the social media platform. Several countries have taken steps to regulate online content since the attack. In early April, Australia passed legislation setting out fines and punishment for the social media sites for hate content. And the UK has proposed making social media executives personally responsible for harmful content shared on their platforms. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Facebook's multi-layered problems can be broadly divided between size, business model, technical limitations, and also years of unchecked growth. Now, experts believe that the problem of the company could be owing to its DNA. Facebook did not see it coming that its platform could also be used for generating extremist content or even transmitting fake news, or for that matter, even in the misuse of its user data.
Facebook has been facing turbulent times over the last few years. It has been at the center of privacy scandals, data leaks, election meddling, and more, all of which has made Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg requesting the government to clarify what counts as harmful content online so that the company can take it down. But analysts feel this is superficial at best compared to the scale and scope of the problems Facebook is confronting.
In US also, FTC is an old age regulator which may not be very influential or good in the news scenario, post-internet scenario. So demand is being raised that a new regulator should be appointed. Facebook indirectly is also supporting, Mark is also supporting this demand that yes, new rule of internet are required. But he wants it in the best interest of the company instead of being in the best interest of the society. Because in 2004, Facebook was started for the benefit of the society. Now, this benefit of the society, this social perspective is lost in the corporate gain.
Facebook's problems are multi-layered, given its size, business model, technical limitations, and years of unchecked growth. Miscreants have created celebratory videos using Facebook's platform to generate extremist content for ISIS and Al-Qaeda. The company says it is working on solutions, but the problems are getting bigger. Mass shootings are being live streamed and online mobs are spreading rumors leading to deadly violence with greater impunity than ever before. Whenever a new problem crops up, critics say Facebook apologizes and promises to make changes. till a newer, bigger, and more shocking incident happens. Critics also say that Facebook did not anticipate how malicious elements readily misuse its platform. More recently, the company has emphasized just how much it is improving, both technically in its use of artificial intelligence to detect problems and in terms of focusing money and effort on fixing them. It said, and I quote, "After making heavy investments, we are detecting and removing terrorism content at a far higher success rate than even 2 years ago. We don't claim to find everything, and we remain vigilant in our efforts against terrorist groups around the world."
Well, I think what America and the world is waking up to is creating new laws and regulations. If it will not be Facebook, it might be some other company tomorrow. So just breaking up a company, firstly, is not democratic. But on the other side, we require laws to bring about change in the way the tech industry works today.
Experts say the problems of the company could be owing to its DNA. While the business model relies on as many people as possible using Facebook as much as possible, it is making users leave behind personal details that can and are being targeted by advertisers. Facebook and its users seem to be caught in a complicated bargain and a vicious cycle. Facebook users get wider access but compromise themselves by giving up personal data, a process that might drag on till governments step in forcibly. With inputs from Vipul Agarwal, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
So that's it from us in this edition of In Depth. You can also watch our program online on YouTube and Twitter. And don't forget to send your feedback and suggestions about our program. Thank you very much for your time.